Hello everyone, welcome to Education Nation. Today we'll be looking at a report that came out in 2024, that's last year. It's called Disruptions on the Horizon, and it's put out by Policy Horizons Canada, policy group of the Government of Canada, and it follows up on the first three videos I did. First one called Exploring Biodigital Convergence, Policy Horizons Canada, and the second one, that was 2020, and then in 2022 there's Biodigital Today and Tomorrow, and the third one we covered was Biodigital Convergence Cross-Cutting Policy Implications, which also came out in the year 2024. So, disclaimer: Policy Horizons Canada is the Government of Canada's Centre of Excellence in Foresight. Our mandate is to empower the Government of Canada with a future-oriented mindset and outlook to strengthen decision making. The content of this document does not necessarily reflect the views of the Government of Canada or participating departments and agencies. And we have forward, introduction, reflection guide, approach, survey results, reflections on key disruptions, prominent disruptions, under anticipated disruptions, exploring interconnections, society, economy, environment, health, politics, and geopolitics, followed by the conclusion. It's a 37-page report. It paints a very, very, very bright future for Canada and the world. Forward. In recent years, the world has experienced significant disruptions. The COVID-19 pandemic, Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the Israel-Hamas conflict, extreme climate disasters, the surging cost of living, and global supply chain interruptions. Predicting the next big policy upheaval may not be possible, but it is crucial to explore possible disruptions and anticipate potential future scenarios. Even seemingly distant or improbable events and circumstances can suddenly become reality, while overlapping disruptions can lead to compounded societal impacts. Policy Horizons Canada is committed to supporting the Government of Canada's decision makers in navigating these uncertainties. We identify and explore potential disruptions to enable the creation of robust and resilient policies. Our Disruptions on the Horizon work is a key part of our mission. We hope you find this report insightful and thought-provoking. On behalf of Policy Horizons, I would like to thank the people who generously shared their time, knowledge, and thoughts with us. Crystal van der Elst, Director General Policy Horizons Canada. And scrolling further down, if my computer can unstuck itself. Come on. I have such problems with this paper. Now we got to scroll back up. Introduction. Today, the world faces multiple complex crises that can contribute to unexpected disruptions. The Disruptions on the Horizon report stems from a critical question many decision makers grapple with. What disruptions should we anticipate next? The Disruptions on the Horizon 2024 report identifies and assesses 35 disruptions for which Canada may need to prepare and explores some of the interconnections between them. These disruptions are potential events and circumstances that could affect our society and the way it functions, as well as the way people live, work, and connect. Their impacts can be perceived as positive or negative, depending on one's perspective. While the disruptions presented in this report are not guaranteed to occur, They are plausible. Neglecting to consider them may lead to policy failure and missed opportunities. Thinking through possible disruptions when developing policies, programs, and strategies could help seize opportunities, navigate impacts, and minimize risks. Reflection Guide. Leaders, policymakers, and decision makers can benefit from thinking through possible disruptions on the horizon when developing policies, programs, and strategies. These disruptions might create challenges or opportunities. Some can be avoided or their impacts minimized, while others require adaptation. The following questions can help explore, assess, and prepare for disruptions on the horizon. Explore the disruptions. Are the key disruptions on your radar? What disruptions do you hold about these disruptions? What assumptions do you hold about these disruptions? Which disruptions worry you the most? Which disruptions are most important to prevent? And what new realities might emerge if multiple disruptions occur at the same time? Assess the disruptions. What do the disruptions mean for your department, domain, or policies? Which challenges and opportunities do these disruptions represent for your strategic and/or operational context? Do we have sufficient insight into the impact of these disruptions? What do we need to know? Which of the disruptions should you anticipate? Which disruptions fall into your area of responsibility, and which ones might indirectly reflect your area of responsibility? Are you incorporating the relevant disruptions into your work? Prepare for the disruptions. What should you do to make sure that your current policies, programs, and strategies are robust in the face of the disruptions and their impacts? Which of the disruptions are you able to help prevent or respond to? For disruptions you can help prevent, are there existing policies, programs, and strategies? What vulnerabilities exist? For disruptions which you aim to respond and/or adapt, are the policies, programs, and strategies robust? If not, what would make them robust? Who should prepare for each disruptions? Which stakeholders are prepared? Approach. Policy Horizons identified and assessed 35 possible disruptions that could significantly affect Canadian society and beyond. The disruptions were derived from a literature review, expert interviews, conversations with policymakers, workshops with Foresight practitioners, as well as an analysis of what is changing in our society, what is driving that change, and what new realities could emerge. While the list is not comprehensive, the 35 disruptions outlined in this report are plausible events and circumstances that could occur in the coming years. They are categorized into 5 domains: society, economy, environment, politics/geopolitics, and health. But their origins and impacts could span across more than one domain. Each disruption is written in the present tense as a future scenario in which a disruption has become reality. To assess these disruptions, Policy Horizons gathered and analyzed input from around 500 stakeholders, colleagues, and Foresight experts across the Government of Canada and beyond. They provided their insights through a survey where they assessed the following aspects of each disruption. Number 1, likelihood and impact. How likely it is to occur and how much impact it could have if it were to occur. Time horizon, when it could occur. That's number 2. And for a subset of disruptions, number 3, interconnections. If one disruption were to occur, which related disruptions would be more likely to occur? Okay, I've got a few questions here. The disruptions were derived from a literature review. Which literature? Expert interviews. Who were the experts? Conversations with policymakers. Again, who? And workshops with Foresight practitioners. What is a practitioner? Why don't we go find out? We're gonna Google finger here. Foresight. Practitioner. And I'll put in what is a Foresight practitioner. A Foresight practitioner analyzes future trends, risks, and opportunities for organizations to help them make better strategic decisions today. They are not fortune tellers, but rather professionals who use methods like horizon scanning and scenario development to understand how change might unfold, making them more resilient and adaptable. They analyze the present to inform the future and use diverse methods to create a clearer picture of potential futures. They analyze and anticipate change. They develop scenarios. They inform decision making. They challenge assumptions. They use a variety of methods. The core mindset would be curious and open, observant, analytical, and resilient. Of course, you have to be resilient. So let's see if we can find any Foresight groups here. And we go right to Foresight. This is the Foresight group. We invest to build a sustainable future and grow thriving economies. With decades of experience, our strategies offer investors access to compelling opportunities at the forefront of change. Every day we are actively building and growing our investments to support the energy transition, decarbonize industry, enhance nature recovery, and realize the economic potential of ambitious companies. And here we have, over on YouTube, we have Mrs. Crystal Vander Elst, who is the Director General of Policy Horizons Canada. And this is from the Global Foresight Group. Strategies for success in unpredictable times. Mastering Strategic Foresight Program. The Global Foresight Group.
Mastering Strategic Foresight Program has been developed as a leadership program for senior decision makers who want to improve their strategic action. So all these leaders actually have a challenge to make either their societies or their businesses or their institutions be successful in the future. And in a world of a lot of uncertainty, this becomes increasingly difficult. And so tools such as strategic foresight can actually help with that.
We designed this program for people like ourselves who earlier in our careers would have appreciated being able to go somewhere to work out not just how do you do it, but how do you get drive to high value impact? And how do you keep it moving from being a one-off to a continuous and organisational capability?
Okay.
I think that learning from such incredible inspiration.
We have the Global Foresight group here. Preparing legal and institutional arrangements for preventing or containing future pandemics through anticipation, assessment, and the design of negotiating processes to achieve preferred outcomes. The Global Foresight Group for Pandemic Preparedness, Surveillance, and Response. The Global Foresight Group will focus its work on identifying key constraints and suggesting ways to move forward in efforts to strengthen current global rules and institutions, as well as efforts to establish new rules and institutions, identifying gaps in current global instruments and suggesting a path forward to address these gaps. Okay. Well, we already went there. And
great, fantastic. Well,
you-
without further ado, I would like to warmly welcome you to the side event, which I'm very, very happy to be co-hosting along with our colleagues at UNICEF. So my name is Alana Poole, and I am the Deputy Head of the UN Futures Lab. And we are thrilled to be here, co-hosting the side event. Really, it's
thrilling. Yeah, this is a youth foresight, so they're getting the youth into foresight practitioning. Interesting. And we have here Applied Strategic Foresight Toronto. That's the Copenhagen Institute for Future Studies. And here's a video from these the Copenhagen, I believe it's them.
Complex ways that we're not able to imagine, and that's basically why I asked the question as well. A few last questions
So let's
before we'll invite questions from.
Let's hear from some experts here. These are all foresight practitioners with large corporations, and we can listen to the language that they use, and it's very similar to the Policy Horizons Canada Linguistics. So let's see here at 7:10. Let's see what this.
Reciting across, it's more as you were on to, Simon, a mindset around the company today that we formulate with the world around us. A much stronger point of view where we want the world to head, and I think that's my mission in being here today, to share a little bit on that. But
wonderful, thank you so much, Ludwig. And we'll get.
So he's just said stronger point of view that we want the world to have, and then let's go further along.
We practice it inside of McDonald's. It's a midterm horizon to bridging of the gap between our short-term strategy.
Midterm horizon.
In the organization, which is focused on 1 to 3 years, and more of that,
So Horizon 1, it would be 1 to 3 years, and she tells us that
Horizon 3, projecting out what the future could be. We use a number of different.
So Horizon 2 is 3 to, I think she said not 10 years, 9 years, and Horizon 3 would be 10 years and onward. So yeah, they love to use the word horizon.
Different methods to be able to to do that. And certainly, as you said, it's not predictive and it's not extrapolating a linear trend out. It's definitely using foresight tools and methodologies. But the one thing that I always try to land with people when it comes to strategic foresight inside of corporations is actually well described with a comic that I saw yesterday. So I'm on I'd say in summary, it's really practiced as a true horizon to
a true horizon.
It's almost like the translator in between what foresight is as a future study and what an organization really needs.
What about you, Ludwig? Do you approach foresight slightly different than Joe, or is it the same?
No, I think we share probably a lot of different similar techniques and mindset. I think where I'm coming from, I realized pretty quickly that it's not for us about, our approach is not, or my approach is not about predicting part as much as kind of advocating for the agency humans have in shaping the future we want. So a lot of my work, it is from understanding where we've been and where we want to go, and where we want to go, and trying to populate that a little bit more than just with numbers, and trying to create those worlds and multiple futures. And I think a lot of the work has been developed through what we have is our vision, which is about to create a better everyday life for the many people. And the later part of that one, what is the everyday life for the many people in different types of future and different times of time horizon, has been probably the more effective way to bring people on board to what future thinking is, and to then
bring us on board.
To Horizon 1, 2, and 3. What do you mean by that? Help our audience out.
You want to go, Joe?
So Horizon 1 for us is 1 to 3 years. Horizon 2 is in that 5 year. And then Horizon 3 is 10 year. And obviously that terminology changes depending on the industry that you're in. So if you're in the government politics space, then that Horizon 3 is going to be more like 4 decades. So I think, again, it needs to be tailored to how your company looks at horizons.
Happen and making it tangible by utilizing, for example, different design methods when communicating the potential futures. Also, we have been working, or many of my team members have been working on the academic side, so it's about collecting and analyzing the data in a quite systematic way to provide kind of the background for the creativity. So combining data and creativity, it's a key. And kind of collaborating in ecosystems or with different partners, not only internal partners, but actually also external partners.
Perfect. Look.
Yeah, she said.
From a global business perspective, we have a
co-creating the future, making the future happen. Let me check this guy out one more time.
Doing so as we are kind of moving towards the future.
Wonderful. And just to build on that a little bit, Joe.
So you said we have a responsibility to shape the future.
Be the most obvious question of today's session, but do you feel that the agency around foresight has changed in recent years as the world has become more wicked, if you will?
Wicked? No.
I think the world has always been wicked. But
Listen to
I
that.
would say yes and no, just not to be a fence sitter, but I think that the pull and the interest for foresight is definitely, we're creating.
She works for McDonald's and she thinks the world's always been wicked.
Longer term futures, and we're helping to bridge the gap between what is and what could be. And so we need to make sure that those action plans aren't always anchored in that Horizon 1 or the preferred futures for our organization, but really stretching our thinking into, the what could be and what do we want to actually leave behind as our legacy. So it's a big challenge, but definitely if you've got that kind of mindset, which I think everyone on this call definitely does, it's a challenge worth tackling.
Yeah, and I'll circle back to the whole thing around also making sure that the mindsets sort of goes throughout the organization. I'll circle back to that, but I want to actually hear you, Jan, if we can become a little bit more concrete around sort of tangible outcomes, if you will, because when we were preparing this call, you told me that your Foresight unit, or at least your formalized organizational Foresight work at Kona is rather new, right? So I would love if you could share some of the learnings.
In the beginning of this year, and we are part of the innovation unit, so currently we see Foresight as the first step of our innovation process, where we try to understand how.
That's a key word. They use it all the time. Innovation, innovation, innovation process, innovation unit. Let's go down further on. I'm gonna get through this video as quickly as possible.
So, for example, in our case, we are collaborating with our marketing, with our R&D units, with our business lines, and not all of the people are familiar with the Foresight approach. So it's important to create also a common language when speaking about the future and the concept.
Yeah, develop a common language when speaking about the future. Right? Use words like innovation and horizons and futures and foresight and impact. It's neuro-linguistic programming, I believe.
Concepts related to Foresight. And this is sometimes a bit challenging, but as said, project by project, we are all learning how to do it and what are the kind of best practices and methods to be used. And for example, from the kind of more creative side, we are really kind of trying to utilize, for example, design fiction and
our entire global organization of marketers, insights people, the digital team, the restaurant team, the innovation team.
Innovations team.
We are centrally located to be able to make an impact across that entire customer journey. But short answer, we sit inside of marketing.
What about you, Ludwig? You
everyone connected, she said.
Correct?
No, not anymore. Once I was there, but these days I'm together with a unit called a group function called Strategy Development Innovation. So I think that's where we landed one pocket of the foresighting capability. Then it sits across different type of companies as across the group, I should say. But I think it's originally from us. It's originated from I think the need for something different, to see things the world differently. Using foresighting techniques, it comes through innovation, as mentioned before.
Innovation.
Then slowly it adapted towards strategy as well, and I think it comes primarily when you kind of combine futures which are less risky for strategies to point towards. So that's
strategies,
also
futures.
We found that not having dystopian futures arise through possible projected or possible formats, and we kind of adopt this similar to, I think, Jana on Code, that design fiction and storytelling techniques to make
science
it very,
fiction storytelling.
At one point accessible through those kind of stories about the future and how to live your life in different types of future, but even so allowing people to engage with it and create their own vision and story of that future. And that's a journey to bring people on to whatever they're working, because all strategic people in a company we work with, where are we, where do we want to go, and how do we get there? And foresighting, I think, is the way to kind of embed where do we want to go and give more context to that point. And I think that's where I see the ingredients, at least, to answer your question, Simon.
Yeah, over to you, actually, Jana. Do you often find strategic foresight, especially in a new function like yours, do you find strategic foresight a difficult sell to people who are more practiced and more comfortable maybe in sort of what I would call evidence-based strategic thinking?
But there are not only multiple possibilities in how things might eventuate, but there's also multiple actions that you can take that influence that future. And I say that with great honor coming from the McDonald's side, because we are, a huge organization. We are the, market leader. The decisions that we make are going to influence not just our industry, but they're going to influence millions, billions of people around the world. So let's make our decisions carefully, and let's use foresight to inform them. But let's also, I think what the others were touching on is, let's get people inspired and imagine what could be and how you could create that.
So McDonald's wants to influence the future. Okay. So we just heard from the experts, and now we'll go to a website. It's called the Foresight Institute, advancing frontier science and technology since 1986. And distinguished awardees: David Baker, biochemist and computational biologist, 2004 winner of the Feynman Prize. Sir J. Fraser Stoddard, 1942 to 2024, chemist, the 2007 winner of our Feynman Prize. They have conferences, workshops, grants. Explore our grants in AI, neurotechnology, longevity biotechnology, and molecular nanotechnology. They have prizes honoring the scientists Richard Feynman and Norm Hardy. We award 2 annual prizes to exceptional contributions to nanotechnology and usable security. They have fellowships and they have seminar groups. And if we go up here to the, let me just move me down a little bit. There. I was covering up the menu. Don't want to be covering up the menu. Oh, how do I do that? I'm gonna, Dave, get there below the menu. I'm gonna try and push menu right now. Move you. There you go. I'm down on the bottom now, but I wanted to get to the menu, and I'm gonna go back up to the top. Get up there, Dave. Okay. Focus areas: secure AI, and these people started out in 1998, I think it is. Supporting researchers, engineers, and entrepreneurs in computer science, machine learning, crypto, security, and related fields who leverage those technologies to improve cooperation across humans and ultimately AIs. So the Foresight group is all about human augmentation, neurotechnology, supporting researchers, entrepreneurs, and funders in advancing neurotechnology progress and applications in brain-computer interfaces, whole brain emulations, and neuro-inspired AI safety. And then we have longevity biotechnology, because the global controllers want to live forever. It's all about human augmentation, transhumanism, posthumanism, and that's what all the money in the world is going towards, or at least most of it, and other weapons of war. Longevity biotechnology supports scientists, entrepreneurs, funders, and institutional partners in advancing biotechnology to reverse aging, extend human health span, and improve the human condition, because they love us. Nanotechnology, supporting scientists, funders, and institutional partners in advancing molecular machines progress toward atomic precision for applications in energy, medicine, material science, and space development. And space, supporting researchers, entrepreneurs, and funders in advancing progress in space development, from near-term applications to long-term exploration. And finally, existential hope. Much of today's attention is focused on the threats, risks, and generally bad outcomes to humanity. Existential hope aims to empower coordination towards flourishing futures. So when we go back to our paper of the day, disruptions on the horizon, we will see that these disruptions are all focused on the threats, risks, and generally bad outcomes to humanity. But like the paper says, it all depends on your perspective, because you could make it a positive thing. So up here it says, to assess these disruptions, Policy Horizons gathered and analyzed input from around 500 stakeholders. Again, the question is who? Colleagues. Again, the question is who? And Foresight experts across the Government of Canada and beyond. They provide their insights through a survey where they assess the following aspects of each disruptions. We've already been through this, so let's scroll. It always gets to there and then it stops scrolling. Okay, time to move. No, you're gonna not move, you're just gonna jump up, and I'm gonna have to scroll back the other way. Yep. Okay, our survey results. On the left there we have society, we have health, politics/geopolitics, economy, and the environment. This section presents survey results on the disruptions likelihood, impact, and time horizon. Feature 1 shows all 35 disruptions depicted along 3 dimensions: likelihood, impact, and time horizon. It displays the average result for each dimension according to survey respondents as follows. Likelihood. How likely the disruption is to occur is on the x-axis, which means the bottom axis, I believe, going left to right, and impact. How much impact this disruption could have is on the y-axis, which goes up and down. Respondents assessed both likelihood and impact on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being low and 5 being high. Both axes in figure 1 start at 2, as all disruptions scored an average above that threshold. Time horizon, when the disruption could occur, is represented by the shape of the icons and is divided into time segments of 3 to 5 years, triangle, 6 to 8 years, square, and 9+ years, hexagon. So yeah, that's pretty much what the young lady from McDonald's, the McDonald's Foresight, what do you call it? Foresight. Practitioner from McDonald's. She kind of said the same thing. They use the same horizon timelines. So the triangle one is 3 to 5. The square is 6 to 8, and 9 years plus is the hexagon. Respondents could select from a 1 to 10 year timeline, but none of the disruptions were expected to occur in the coming 2 years or 10 or more. So here we come to our map, and you see the y-axis is for impact, up and down the impact. The highest up on the impact category is World War Breaks Out. And then below we have on the x-axis the likelihood from left to right. On the right is the highest likelihood that would be happening. So let me just widen my so let's go from left to right, and we'll start with low impact here at the bottom, and let's go up higher and to the more impactful disruptions. So men are in crisis. Indigenous peoples govern unceded territory. Men are in crisis. Space is commercialized and underregulated. And up here, high on the likelihood scale, people cannot afford to live on their own. And going back to the middle there, the North experiences an economic boom. So here we go up higher in impact, but lower in likelihood. Immigrants do not choose Canada. Low on the likelihood. And we go higher in likelihood. Healthy environments are a human right. More likely, aging population has no support. Infrastructure and property are uninsurable. And higher up on the likelihood scale, biodata is widely monetized. Mental health is in crisis. We're going to scroll back the other way to the left as we go. Less likely. Infrastructure and property are uninsurable, which is likely. And so again, the square is 3 to 6 years, and these ones are more likely in a lesser time frame. 3 to 5 years is the triangle. This one, aging population, has no support. That's 3 to 6 years. 6 to 8 years. Values-based clashes divide society. That's 3 to 5 years. 3 to 5 years. International alliances are in constant flux. Down a little bit further in likelihood, but 6 to 8 years. Canadian national unity unravels. Geoengineering takes off. And here we have the one hexagonal, which is 9 years plus in the distance. It says many Canadian regions become uninhabitable. Whoa, how could that happen? International alliances are in flux. Household debt reaches a tipping point in 3 to 6 years. Aging population has no support. Infrastructure and property uninsurable. Likelihood, high likelihood that billionaires run the world. 6 to 8 years, artificial intelligence runs wild. Vital natural resources are scarce. 3 to 6 years. 6 to 8 years, vital natural resources are scarce. 6 to 8 years, democratic systems break down. 6 to 8 years, antibiotics no longer work. And we go down in likelihood. 6 to 8 years, basic needs go unmet. 6 to 8 years, food is scarce. Civil war erupts in the United States. That's interesting because we kind of see the push for civil war in the United States. All the narrative drivers, the influencers are, pitting left against the right. And civil war. Troops in the streets. Healthcare systems collapse. That's 6 to 8 years. And civil war in the United States is also 6 to 8 years. Healthcare systems collapse. Biodiversity is lost and ecosystems collapse. Cyber attacks disable critical infrastructure. But you think if biodiversity is lost and ecosystems collapse, well, that doesn't bode well for us, does it? If all the ecosystems collapse, well, there won't be many people around to start a world war breaks out. But yeah, that seems to be the most on the Foresight practitioners. Their world war breaks out is the highest impact possible disruption on the horizon. And here we have over 4 on the impact chart, and also the most likely disruption to occur in 3 to 6 years. People cannot tell what is true and what is not. Whoa. Why would that be? Why would people not be able to tell what is true and what is not? Well, could it be the information operations going on, the misinformation, the disinformation, the information disorder polluting our environment, all the psychological operations that are playing out here in the month of October surprises, Charlie Kirk, civil war erupting in the United States, and we have our perception management operations, our influencers, our narrative drivers, our reality hackers, all the counterintelligence, I don't know, there must be millions of counterintelligence people now, because all of this biodigital convergence depends on people not being able to tell what is true and what is not, right? So here we scroll down. Biodiversity is lost and ecosystems collapse. I guess that would be high on the impact list. Emergency response is overwhelmed, also high on the impact list. Cyber attacks disable critical infrastructure. Billionaires run the world. Artificial intelligence runs wild. Vital natural resources are scarce. Downward social mobility is the norm. Healthcare systems collapse. Democratic systems break down. So, top 10 most likely disruptions. People cannot tell what is true and what is not. Biodiversity is lost and ecosystems collapse. People cannot afford to live on their own. Biodata is widely monetized. Billionaires run the world. Downward social mobility is the norm. Emergency response is overwhelmed. Mental health is in crisis. Cyber attacks disable critical infrastructure. Artificial intelligence runs wild. Top 10 highest impact disruptions. World war breaks out. Biodiversity is lost and ecosystems collapse. I think I might change those. I think I might put that one at the top and World War breaks out down below, but I don't know, it'd be probably much similar outcome. But healthcare systems collapse, civil war erupts in the United States, Charlie Kirk, rest in peace Charlie. Emergency response is overwhelmed, basic needs go unmet, cyber attacks disable critical infrastructure, people cannot tell what is true and what is not, democratic systems break down, vital natural resources are scarce. And I would say this is not a 3 to 5 year timeline. I would say that a lot of these are already here. Reflections on key disruptions. This section further explores 18 disruptions that could have significant impact for Canada. And again, my computer sticks, and then it's going to jump unexpectedly right now. No, I gotta wait. We all have to wait. Apologies for the wait. Now I gotta scroll back up again, or do I? Yes. Okay, that's scrolled out enough. The 10 disruptions with the highest likelihood impact scores are listed as prominent disruptions. 8 others are listed as under-anticipated disruptions. They were identified by Policy Horizons as requiring more consideration than the survey results reveal. Exploring both prominent and under-anticipated disruptions can help decision makers think through potential implications, policy considerations, and preparedness. One disruption could have cascading implications in unexpected areas, and the occurrence of one disruption could set off others. Although at first some of the disruptions might seem positive or negative, all significant societal changes present both challenges and opportunities. Opportunity can also emerge from preventing or mitigating undesired impacts. Prominent disruptions. Below are the top 10 disruptions for which decision makers may need to prepare based on the survey results. They are listed from highest to lowest score. The possible implications and considerations for policy making are not comprehensive. They are meant to provoke further reflection on what disruptions could mean for Canadian society and beyond. People cannot tell what is true and what is not. The information ecosystem is flooded with human and artificial intelligence generated content. Misinformation, which is information that people have without really knowing that they're mistaken in their information. And disinformation is purposeful putting out of false information to cause harm and confusion. And you wonder why they predict that people will not be able to know what's true and what is not in 3 to 5 years. Then you'll understand what this information is all about. Make it almost impossible to know what is fake or real. It is much harder to know what or who to trust, just like I was saying. More powerful generative AI tools, declining trust in traditional knowledge sources, and algorithms designed for emotional engagement rather than factual reporting could increase distrust and social fragmentation. More people may live in separate realities shaped by their personal media and information ecosystems. These realities could become hotbeds of disinformation, be characterized by incompatible and competing narratives and form the basis of fault lines in society. Research and the creation of scientific evidence could become increasingly difficult. Public decision-making could be compromised as institutions struggle to effectively communicate key messaging on education, public health, research, and government information. And I think I'm gonna leave it off there. About the people cannot tell what is true and what is not. And I just want to mention another reason for that is the let's talk about electronic warfare, cognitive warfare. Why don't we talk about the drug epidemic, the school systems being used to confuse people about their identity and such things, etc., etc. So yeah, just before I leave off here, and I want to go back to this document because I think it's very interesting and very shocking, actually, what the government of Canada is calling for. They seem to have a lot of confidence in their abilities to govern, unless the AI is governing us, or maybe it's Policy Horizons Canada who is governing us. I don't know. It's retarded. So you wonder how much did AI contribute to this report, and they say that some of the impacts could be positive, and I just wonder which ones are positive from anyone's point of view. But hey, we live in a world that's crazy. Which literature was reviewed? Who were the experts? Policy makers? And yeah, so in this chart, I didn't see any mention of the drug epidemic, or cognitive warfare, or electronic warfare. Ringing in my ears, headaches constantly from electromagnetic frequencies, Wi-Fi radiation everywhere. They do not mention the huge databases that they have built and need to build bigger, and consuming more and more essential water resources and energy resources for AI. Meanwhile, people can't pay their electricity bills. No mention of cognitive neuroscience, cognitive warfare, electronic warfare, personalized AI medicine, e-medicine, remote AI healthcare, the biotechno takeover, which is the biodigital convergence. How are they gonna monetize our biodata? No mention of 80 years of geoengineering. They only talk about it as a proposal, but yeah, 80 years of geoengineering, weather warfare, dumping trillions of sensors on humanity and all of life, the whole planet for at least 10 years more. I'd say 15 years of dumping trillions and trillions of sensors also called reflective intelligent surfaces, also called smart dust, also called MEMS, micro electromechanical systems, and nano electromechanical systems. Smart dust, chalk, flying down from the skies behind all those airplanes up in the sky pretty much all the time now. No talk about the nano pollution, no talk about vaccine injuries and deaths, and I would say that's a major disruption for humanity. No mention of our bodies being hacked, our brains hacked, our thoughts hacked, our reality hacked. And no wonder they predict that people will not be able to tell what is true and what is not in 3 to 5 years. No mention of the wireless body area networks, the Internet of Bio-Nano Things, the central bank digital currency, or the real ID that they're mandating and pushing really, really hard for to go along with United Nations Agenda 2030. Again, no mention of weather warfare. No mention about the trillionaires. They mention the world being run by billionaires, but what about the trillionaires? And all the military funding, the tech funding, the biodigital, the AI, cognitive warfare, electronic warfare, geoengineering, which is the actual proper term for weather warfare. The chemtrails is not the term we want to be using. Geoengineering, that's their own words, and they've been doing it for 80 years now, but no one ever looks up to see what's going on in the skies, and the nano technology, the steering of the nanoparticles, the trillions and trillions of nanoparticulates that they're dumping from airplanes all the time. AI cognitive warfare, on terraforming the biosphere, polluting the biosphere with nanotechnology. No mention of the ozone depletion from the constant stratosphere aerosol injection. The aerosols that they spray constantly, that's destroying the ozone layer, and people wonder why the sun is so intense these days. Well, yeah, that would be UVC radiation that they do not report on. They report on ultraviolet A and ultraviolet B, but no mention of ultraviolet C. Yeah, just like they don't mention the nanoparticulates in the air. They only measure for I think it's 2.5 microns, and anything under 2.5 microns they do not test for. And so the nanoparticulates in the air, all those sensors and weather modification, weather warfare particulates, they're at the nanoscale, which is much, much smaller than a micron, because a nanoparticle is 1/billionth of a meter, which you cannot see, and you cannot see even 1,000 nanoparticulates. They say a human hair is they say it's a human hair is no, I always get this wrong anyway. It's we can't see the nanotechnology, but it's everywhere, all around us. It's in our food, it's in the air, it's in the water, it's in the food. It's in everything. And so I'm ranting and raving, and so I think I'm just going to leave this paper off here. Should we go to some existential hope? Why don't we go to some existential hope? And let's find out let's find out what the Foresight experts. Let's go down to a Foresight expert. Okay, here we go. And I want to check out this podcast with Steven Pinker. I'll leave you with that, just so that you know what a neuro-linguistic programmer is. And I'll leave you with Steven Pinker, who is very polished neuro-linguistic programmer. Let's first find out what a neuro-linguistic neuro-linguistic programming is, and then I'll leave you with this bullshitter, reality inverter, bullshit spewing piece of shit, Steven Pinker, and then we can all ruminate over why they're predicting that people will not be able to tell what is true and what is not in 3 to 5 years. Neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, is a psychological approach that studies the connection between neurological processes, language, and behavioral patterns to help people change their thoughts and actions to achieve specific goals. Developed in the 1970s by Richard Bandler and John Grinder, NLP uses techniques like modeling and reframing to help individuals improve personal development, communication, and performance through its effectiveness, though its effectiveness is not always supported by empirical evidence. This video explains the basic principles of NLP. Well, why don't we watch that first, and then we can watch Mr. Steven Pinker. But first we have to go watch
Did you start the claim with
Okay,
TD
stop.
Insurance yet? Ooh,
Stop.
okay.
Stop.
Yep, just one more pick.
Stop.
Oh, that's
Skip.
nice.
Okay.
You may be wondering, what exactly is NLP? NLP, or Neuro-Linguistic Programming, is an approach to communication, psychotherapy, and personal development that first appeared in Richard Bandler and John Grinder's 1975 book called The Structure of Magic Part 1. Despite a lack of empirical evidence to support it, the authors then released a second book called The Structure of Magic Part 2, and NLP kind of took off from there. The practice centers on this assumption that there is a connection between neurological processes, language, and acquired behavioral patterns, and that any of these processes can then be changed in order to help you achieve specific goals in your life. NLP uses perceptual, behavioral, and communicative techniques to make it easier for people to change their thoughts, behaviors, and actions. Essentially, in my opinion, it's just a bunch of falsely certified practitioners, as they like to call themselves. And I say falsely certified because, just like life coaching, literally anyone can start a school of NLP and start certifying people as practitioners in the industry. industry. Basically, it's just a giant, unregulated industry where people are teaching other people techniques that are not rooted in science. The whole thing kind of gives me manifestation vibes, so if you haven't watched my video on why I personally don't believe manifestation is real, you can go ahead and click right here to watch that and get caught up to speed and then come back and join us. Essentially, practitioners of NLP say that they can use the methods of NLP to essentially model the behaviors of exceptional people, meaning that anyone who desires to act the way someone else is acting can essentially just use NLP to embody that person's thoughts and behaviors. And I don't know, the whole thing just gives me like a weird feeling, okay? Some critics suggest that the reason why NLP is so popular is because it has such a broad application to such a large number of problems and desires that people want to have in their life. And a really interesting piece I came across in my research is that many of these NLP practitioners don't believe that it's necessary for them to understand their client's history in order to help them achieve their goals and desires that they're looking for assistance with. And I found this particularly interesting because if we think about any other kind of medical or psychological setting, it is considered best practice and often is...
Okay, enough about neuro-linguistic programming. Let's go back. I missed. Did I miss? Yeah. Okay. I want to go back because I missed. Okay. I just want to preempt this a little bit, and I gotta shoot. I gotta pull my. There. Okay, now we're back at the menu, and focus areas, resources, go back here, because they have a lot of different, okay, yeah, here we go. Scroll down towards the bottom and there's all kinds of videos and podcast recordings of experts, Foresight experts, teaching AI the scent of cancer, foundational models and digital twins of the brain, barriers and pathways to human AI alignment, algorithms to map neural activity and behavior, bottlenecks in the brain-computer interface for restoring speech, improving cognition and mental health through non-invasive ultrasound neuromodulation. Non-invasive means that they're invading your body without wires or without cutting you up. That's all that means. I'd say that's pretty invasive, wouldn't you? And they have a lot of videos, all kinds of sources here to read about the bio-digital convergence, brain wiring through the genomic, bottleneck, neurotech for mental health, neurotech panel, lo-fi uploading approaches, investigating digital minds. That's from March 2024. The interface of AI safety in neuroscience, a neuroscience's guide to starting a company, humanity's next leap. So, okay. And so if you, I gotta get down there. Get down there, you. And so the focus areas, you can click on any of these: neurotechnology, longevity, biotechnology, nanotechnology. Let's go to nanotechnology there and scroll down, and they have a bunch of recordings of people talking about nanotechnology. which is a huge industry now. Nanotechnology. It's everywhere, it's in everything. And they never really told us much about it. People think it's sci-fi, but it's here. And you're learning about nanotechnology in all the universities, and billions of dollars on nanotechnology and neurotechnology and biotechnology, and the convergence of all of those things: computer, quantum, nano, bio, AI, machine computing, bioinformatics, big data, big data for those big databases, those filthy big databases, so they can map our brains and map every cell and circuit in the human body, and our pets too, and all the plants and trees. Everything is mapped. The Global Information Grid, it's now called the DODIN, the Department of Defense Information Network, U.S. military, behind pretty much all the advancements, the technological advancements. We can thank the military for the internet, for cell phones, for most all of the medical equipment and the communication technologies in the world today. Thank you. Towards Invisible Man, transforming tissue, machines making machines, functional protein semiconductor, an engine without a machine, 3D characterization, presentation, generating motion, molecular machine for measuring single cell voltage with MRI, magnetic resonant imaging, repurposing a catalytic cycle as powerful source. It's Greek to me. And they have the Richard Feynman Prize. Richard Feynman introduced the world to nanotechnology in 1959, and I'll try and put his presentation. It's I think it's on YouTube or somewhere, and I'll try and find that and post that so you can read about Richard Feynman and his presentation on nanotechnology way back in 1959. I was 1 year old at the time, so I missed that speech way back then, and kind of wish they'd been introduced to me when I was 1, so I could learn about nanotechnology. Anyway, I need to stop mumbling so much. I mumble too much. Anyway, so let's go back to, I just want to leave you with our neuro-linguistic programmer named Steven Pinker. Okay, I need to go back, and I need to go up over here. Okay, I'm back up at the top where I want to be, looking down, looking down, looking down, looking down. So okay, here we go. And so here you can you can look at Steven Pinker on why the future looks better than you think. Steven Pinker is a Foresight practitioner, I guess it seems. He's with the Foresight Institute, and he's also a very polished neuro-linguistic
Hi everyone, welcome
programmer.
to Foresight's Existential Hope podcast. We couldn't be more delighted than having Steve Pinker here today, who I think is really the face of much of the movement that really cares about progress and cares about how far we've come as a civilization, and possibly also how much further we can go. And I've personally found myself quoting your work more times than I can count over the years, and I think there's very few people that have such a breadth and depth in terms of the research that they're producing. So you've done a tremendous service, I think, to different fields. So perhaps we'll start somewhere, which I guess there's one place that comes to mind is I've recently had the chance of seeing you speak at the Roots of Progress Institute conference that we co-hosted, helped organize to a small amount at Berkeley. And what you've done there is give this really fantastic talk on checking back in on some of the claims that you've made throughout your research on where have we actually made progress as civilization versus where perhaps have we fallen a little bit behind in the past few years, or where are we still on roughly the same par. So do you perhaps want to take us on a little bit of a journey of just checking in on, how are we doing as a civilization, especially in the past few years compared to perhaps how you have evaluated our progress before?
Yes, I do try to keep up with the indicators of human progress. And as I emphasized in both of my books on progress, Enlightenment Now and The Better Angels of Our Nature, there isn't some mysterious force that's guaranteed to make things better and better. That's not the way the universe works. In fact, quite the contrary, the universe tries to grind us down. And if we've made progress, it's because of human efforts and always pushing back against a number of forces that really, I don't want to say that nature has it in for us, because that would be not accurate, but nature doesn't care about us. And there are a lot of ways that things can go wrong. So it's we don't really have any reasonable expectation that everything will just keep getting better by itself. And not everything does. So of the things that have gotten worse since I published Better Angels of Our Nature, the rate of death in war has climbed somewhat, not necessarily for the reasons that people think, because their eyes are focused on Gaza, but far more people were killed in Ethiopia, in Sudan, a lot of people were killed in Ukraine. But that means that there has been an uptick, taking us really back to the early 1990s. Still better than the world was in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, to say nothing of the world wars. But that's an area in which we've moved backwards a bit. Although wars don't kill that many people compared to things like pandemics. Was definitely a downturn in a lot of measures, although interestingly the world has recovered from most of them. Economic growth has resumed, increases in life expectancy have resumed, decreases in extreme poverty have resumed. So the world has achieved, right as of 2024, record levels in terms of how long people live, how many are literate, how many have some education, and how many are not poor. Some other areas in which the world has continued progress that, again, most people are unaware of, is that homicide rates globally continue to go down, suicide rates go down. As with a lot of these data, it does not apply to everyone everywhere, and there's some demographics where things have gotten worse regarding suicide, for example. But overall, the world has seen a rather significant decrease in the rate of suicides. There's been a lot of talk about a democratic recession. That is, the world becoming a little less democratic than it was, and that is a real phenomenon. That in indexes of democracy, the world is a little less democratic than it was, say, 15 or 20 years ago. Still close to its historic high, but there the movement has been in the wrong direction. We're back at the level of, say, the early 2000s, which is, again, way better than we were when I grew up. In the 60s and the 70s, the world only had maybe 30 or 35 democracies. now, depending on how you count, more countries are democratic than autocratic in the 193 in the world system. Women's rights still close to an all-time high, both in the United States and globally, although there has been some backtracking in the last 5 years or so. But so a lot of those curves for democracy and women's rights, there was a peak. We're down, a little bit, but still way better than we used to be. So that's my summary of the state of the world.
So overall, you think that we're still pretty much on track, more or less?
Not so much. War, in understanding any of these trends, it's important to keep in mind that they're not just laws of nature, either up or down, but they have particular causes. And so in answering your question, are we on the right track, depends on which way the forces are going. And there's some, in the case of war, for example, there is reason for concern that some of the contributors to the decline of war are threatened, such as international community, international organizations, where Britain pulled out of the European Union, Trump has pulled out of the World Health Organization, and is threatening to pull out many more. Global trade is considered by many scholars to be a pacifying force, that as countries trade with each other, they're less like.
Anyway, enough of Steven Pinker. I just wanted to introduce you to Steven Pinker, and if enough people listen to Steven Pinker and read the document we covered today, Disruptions on the Horizon, and if you follow mainstream media and 99.9% of the alternative media, you definitely won't know what's true and what is not true in 3 to 5 years. Anyway, that's they talk about innovation a lot too. We notice these the Foresight practitioners we listened to earlier. They were talking a lot about innovation. They always talk about innovation, and here we go with one more video, 6 minutes and 50 seconds.
Good news.
Innovation.
Good news doesn't stop merely
Authority.
with Israel's strong military.
Israel,
It continues
innovation,
with Israel's
authority.
strong economy. It's a tremendously strong economy. And I'll tell you, we made it stronger by moving Israel to free market principles, which unleashed the spark of genius embedded in our people into innovation, entrepreneurship.
It's from 2019. I'll leave the
And there's a
links to
revolution
everything
taking
I
place.
covered
This
today.
couldn't happen at the better time. Look at the 10 leading companies.
Oh, sorry,
in
2006.
5 energy companies, one IT company, Microsoft. And a mere 10 years later, 2016, a blink of an eye in historical terms, it's completely reversed. 5 IT companies, 1 energy company left. The true wealth is in innovation. You know these companies, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook. Guess what? They all have research centers in Israel. All of them, major research centers. And they're not alone, there are hundreds more. And there's a reason, something is going on. It's a great change. It's, you want to hear jargon? It's one sentence. This is a terrible sentence, but I have no other way to say it. It's the confluence of big data, connectivity, and artificial intelligence, okay? Did you get that? You know what that does? It revolutionizes old industries and it creates entirely new industries. So here's an old industry that Israel was always great in, agriculture. We're always good in agriculture. But now we have precision agriculture. You know what that is? See that drone in the sky? It's connected to a big database. And there are sensors in the field. And in the field, there's drip irrigation and drip fertilization. And now we can target, with this technology, the water that we give, the fertilizer that we give down to the individual plant that needs it. That's precision agriculture. That's Israel. Unbelievable. You know, we were always good in water. I want you to see how good we are. So we recycle almost 90% of our wastewater. The next country with less than 20% is Spain. You can see how Israel, what it does for water, what it does for the environment. So when you take these two things, agriculture and water, and the other technologies that we apply in both, we can change the world. We are. We are. I just heard about an African woman in Africa has to walk 8 hours a day to give water to her children. 4 hours one way to a well, 4 hours back. And a young Israeli company brought in this technology that improves on Moses. Remember Moses? He brought water from Iraq. They bring water from thin air. They bring water to Africa, to millions of people in Africa. Israeli technology. And I was just recently in India. That's my friend, Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Great friend. I'm showing him cherry tomatoes. This is in Gujarat, India. This is Israeli technology. And what I heard there was fantastic. Farmers came from the region. There's an experimental farm there in a place where Israel gives technology know-how to Indian farmers. 65% of India's population are farmers. And one farmer after the other gets up and says, because of Israeli technology, I've increased my crop yields and my income 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Israel is changing the world in India, in Asia, in Africa, in Latin America, everywhere. These are the old industries. Now they're new industries. Israel is literally, how can I say this? Israel is literally driving the world. I'm talking about autonomous vehicles. Israel is a world leader in autonomous vehicles. 500 tech companies that sprang out almost instantaneously. And one of them, Mobileye, up there on the left, was just sold to Intel for the paltry sum of $15 billion. But the interesting thing is that Intel said to them, here are the keys to our 30 worldwide autonomous vehicle businesses. You run it. Israeli technology is driving the world. And one last industry, there are many more, but one more that you're all familiar with. You have bank accounts? You should. Okay. Well, you don't want anyone hacking into them, right? Or into your cars, or into the planes you ride. You need cyber security. Everybody needs cyber. Israel has become a world leader in cyber security. Look at how much they invest in the hundreds of Israeli startup companies. Tremendous companies. But here's another factor that you should know. Israel's population is how much? Who knows? Class? 8 billion. It's closer to 9, but it's about between 8 and 9 million. That's correct. And what percentage of that is of the world's population? Oh, come on. It's 1/10 of 1%. So what percentage do we get of the world global investment in cybersecurity, in private investment in cybersecurity? We're 1/10 of 1% of the world's population, and we get a whopping 20% of global private investment in cyber. We're punching 200 times above our weight. Not 2 times, not 10 times, not 100 times, 200 times above our weight. That's one heck of a punch. Very strong. Now.
Okay, that's
You see that building the size of several football fields just behind me? What's happening?
apologies for that. Alright, I'm going to leave it off there, folks. Thank you all for listening. Thanks for being here today, and If you want to share this video with friends, your family, and can alert them to the Bio-Digital Convergence Policy Horizons Canada and Techno-Enslavement System, Human Augmentation, Transhumanism, Brain-Computer Interface, AI Control. Yeah, the Bio-Digital Convergence. And okay, well that's our show for today. Thank you all again, and we'll see you soon. Bye bye.